What's up guys, Adam here with another home improvement video, and in this video I'm going to be installing subway tile as a backsplash all around this kitchen. But I'm not going to be using this standard backsplash where we would need mortar, we would need grout, a wet saw in order to make all of our cuts, and a lot of time and money. There's an interesting product that's been out for a little while now, and it is this right here. These are basically sheets of subway tile that are essentially just really sticky stickers, where we just pull off the back here and we're able to attach it to the wall. And they're a lot less expensive. They are going to perform the same function from everything that I've seen, and they're incredibly easy to install. I mean, all you're going to really need is some scissors or a knife, and you can make all of your cuts, and then once it's pressed into place, it's done. Now, before we really unload on all of this, if you're new to the channel and you like how-tos and do-it-yourself type videos for around your home, then consider hitting that red subscribe button down below. And if you find the content of this video to be helpful for you, let me know by leaving a comment down in the comment section and also giving the video a thumbs up. Along the way, I'm going to show you how I make my cuts for around things like electrical outlets and light switches, trim pieces for around windows. Those are all things that you're going to come across in your kitchen as well. So let's go ahead and get started with the installation. Now, one of the first things that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to prep the surface. This is an incredibly important step so that it creates the best adhesion between the peel and stick tile and the wall. And I did that by using a sandpaper pad. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow for me to take off basically that top layer of paint. And with it is going to come any dirt, grime, or food particles that may have been there. This is particularly important behind places like your kitchen sink and also your cooktop, where food is more prone to splatter. Then after I got done doing my sanding, I went along with a spray bottle with some warm water in it and just lightly misted over the area in order to bring off any of the dust that may have been created by sanding off that top layer, and just making sure that everything is clean so that there are no problems with this tile sticking. Now, make sure that if you are putting any kind of cleaner or water on the wall, don't do it too heavily. It has to be completely dry before putting these tiles up, otherwise it's also not going to stick. So just put it on there very lightly just to get off the top layer of dirt or dust that may be there. All right, so now that the wall is completely prepped and we can get started with installing the tiles, the first thing we need to do is we need to remove all of our wall plates off of our light switches and our electrical outlets so that the tile has a nice clean look and it's tucked underneath of all these wall plates once we reinstall it. Another thing is you've got these backsplashes that oftentimes are already installed regardless of what countertop you have. Usually it doesn't go straight to a wall unless you were planning on putting up a backsplash. You can either leave them in place or you can remove them, and they're fairly easy to remove. You're just going to have to pry them off of the countertop and away from the wall. Not too difficult of a job to do, but again, personal preference, just depends on what you want to do. It's going to look great either way. All right, so we know that we're going to be cutting these off here, so we'll put that up against the trim that we're going to go up against, but then we need to figure out where we need to make our cuts for around this electrical outlet. And keep in mind, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, because when you put this back over the top of the tile, it can cover up some of your mistakes. It just needs to be approximate. So this is really easy to do. All I'm going to do is I'm going to find where the outside edges of these outlets are, and then I'm just going to take this marker, and remember, this has a piece of plastic over it right now, so we're not going to do any damage by marking it on the tile. So you're just going to make your marks where approximately you want your cuts to be. All right, so now we know where to cut. Just got to cut this square out and cut these little flanges off here. I'm just going to use some scissors for this particular cut. Once we start doing outlets that may be in the middle, might actually have to use a razor blade. And make sure before you really press down on it that you've got it in place, especially with this starting one, because whatever you do here is just going to be accentuated all along the way. So once you think you've got it in place, just gently push it up against it. And then once you confirm it's exactly how you want it to be, everything looks good, then you can really push down on it to make sure it stays in place. Now when I join tiles together, I usually come in at an angle like this so that I can get these tiles lined up where they need to be before then I basically swing it shut like a door, so then everything is lined up perfectly. All right, so since this one has the electrical outlet in the middle of the piece itself, in this case you are going to have to use a razor blade in order to make your cuts. Another pro to this is that it is incredibly easy to clean. It's basically like a vinyl, so you can really just go over it without having any issues with cleaning it. There's no grout lines to seal. It's just a lot easier to maintain than a standard tile would be. All right, so now we've come to our first corner, and obviously a full piece is not going to go in there. So I need to take a tape measure, and we'll measure from the corner to one of our longest points so we know where to cut this at. So about 9 inches. All right, so now that we've got our measurements, now we need to make a really long cut here to go into the corner. Now, you can just draw a line and cut it with scissors or rip it with a blade, but if you have one of these lying around, it's going to guarantee that you get a nice straight edge. If you don't have one, I highly recommend getting one before you start doing this project because it really does make it a lot easier. All right, so now we've got this piece up. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a piece up here to then start on this wall. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take the piece that we cut off of this last piece, and that's why it was so important to make sure that it's straight, because we're going to take that the extra piece and we're going to then have it going this way. We're going to line up the grout lines, and then that way it just gives it a more clean look and it makes it look like it's continuing on more naturally. And I've also got to say that I really do think that this looks really good. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with the way that the product looks. And this was one of the more expensive peel and stick tiles. And I did that because I want to make sure that I'm installing the best quality that I can. And I'm still saving a bunch of money by going this route as opposed to going with the tile route. So that was the final tile. Now I just need to do some touch up with some caulk around the trim and also install some new switches and then put the outlet covers on, and I'll show you what the final product looks like. So as another little tip, in order to make these really more difficult angle cuts, for instance, like I had here on this vent hood or whether it's around trim, what you can do is you can just take a plain piece of paper and put it in there as though it's going to be your tile. And what you'll do is you'll just pull it down to wherever it is you need to make the cuts at. And as you're pulling it down, just keep folding whatever corner it is that needs to come up. So once you've got it formed to the angle that you're going to need, then you can pull the paper out. And now you've got your perfect angle. Then you can take this piece of paper, put it on the tile where it needs to be, and trace out that angle to make sure that you are cutting the tile at the exact right angle. And this is going to reduce waste of tile, and it's also going to make sure that you're going to get that tile as close as possible to whatever it is that you're going around. So just a real easy, simple little trick that you can do around more difficult cuts like this. All right guys, so that pretty much does it for installing this peel and stick tile backsplash. I'm super happy with it. It really turned out great, and it really was very easy to install, especially in comparison with if I was to install a tile backsplash. I've installed a decent amount of tile, and I'll do this over that any day. Anybody can handle this project. As long as you can handle a pair of scissors and a measuring tape, you can do this project. And again, it looks fantastic. I'm super happy with the way that it looks. And I'm actually really impressed with the material itself. And handling it, it actually is a very durable piece of material for what it is. And I have no doubts that it's going to do a great job from keeping any food from splattering on the walls or any water from around the sink area getting on the walls and protecting the wall. But overall, that's not why most of us put up Backsplash. Most of us put it up because of the aesthetics of it. So again, couldn't be more pleased with the way it looks. You really can't tell that it's not real tile. So that is definitely a big plus, and an even bigger plus is it's a lot less expensive. So that being said, I'll leave a link down in the description down below where you can find these tiles, and I'll also have links down in the description down below where you can find all of the tools that I used in this video in order to install it. Some of the tools made this installation a lot easier, like that board, that cutting board, that really made it easier to cut straight lines. Now this material is a little bit thicker, so it can't cut all the way through it like it would with a piece of paper, which is what it's made for, but it really scored up the material really well to where then just taking a pair of scissors, the scissors slid right through and again gave us those nice straight lines. So again, I'll leave a link down in the description down below for everything in the video. So I hope that you found this video to be helpful and informative for you, and if you did, please let me know by leaving a comment down in the comment section down below, and also giving the video a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And if you like how-tos and do-it-yourself type videos for around the house like this one, this channel is really focused on doing these new projects like we did here today, and also showing you money-saving techniques to do repairs and maintenance around your home. And I upload a video on a weekly basis, and I have a bunch of videos that you can go check out now that I've already done in the past. So consider hitting that red subscribe button, and I hope to see you in the next video.